Welcome, disaster and emergency management professionals. Good afternoon. This is HazardScape Live. We are coming to you this July 28th to talk about fighting the fear of public speaking with public speaking for Dummies author Alyson Connolly. Alyson has got a deep, broad background in public speaking, and I'll go into her bio in a sec, but I wanted to just mention that the reason I brought her on mostly was not only is she a fantastic public speaking coach, a lot of us deal with crisis communications. We maybe have to stand up in front of an emergency operations center and give a briefing to dozens of people. Maybe we are online doing online presentations more than we normally did, or maybe we're just in the boardroom or at a podium at a seminar. And we take a lot of crisis communication courses to deal with the media and how to be a better technical communicator. But I think there's a lot of room for entering in the actual art of public speaking and having a coach there give you feedback on how to reduce your anxiety, how to breathe when you're speaking, how to slow down your speech, and just make you a better overall presenter. So we're going to be talking to Alyson today a little bit about a lot of that, and we're going to be doing warm-ups and getting things like that. So we are going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Alyson, welcome to HazardScape Live. We are streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thanks for inviting me. And I love that music. It's great.
Yes, thanks. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. So I just wanted to start off by saying, you can see Alyson's bio at alysonconnolly.com, but her thesis was in performance anxiety in public presenters. She's done dramatic learning. She was even the lead instructor at the Citadel Theater's Foot Theater School for a little while. So you're not just a public speaker, you are an actor.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So my first degree was a BFA in acting at the U of A.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I love. And that's what attracted me to hiring you, because I did hire Alyson, full disclosure. She helped me with a lot of my presentation. And what drew me to you was the fact that it wasn't just about standing up and talking or like a Toastmasters. You bring in that theater element and help people kind of get comfortable with their body and their breath and everything like that. And that's helped me. I was okay with getting up in front of people, but I didn't realize until after working with you just how anxious I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting about that. The piece when you just talked about the warm-up, doing a warm-up. And when I work with people, I ask them to kind of wear comfortable clothes and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm in a boardroom with business people, and they're wearing, higher-ish shoes, and some guys have their jackets on. And then we start a warm-up and they are kind of astounded at it. And they're worried that I just came here. I just want to learn to speak better. And so I'll say, and this is how we do it, because Connor McDavid warms up before he has a game. So that's a thing. And that's the little piece that is missing in a lot of coaches that haven't gone through what I've gone through, So.
I would agree because I searched high and low for public speaking help before I found your website, and a lot of them didn't really talk about the warm-up. And I think for me, that getting in that just the mindset at the start of a presentation, kind of relaxing my body, getting my breathing going, that's a big part of it. And I know that's where we're going to spend quite a bit of time today. And I also wanted to quickly, because you also authored the Public Speaking for Dummies book.
Did.
And I think do you still give that book out to your clients?
I do.
Give that out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If they buy a package, then I give it out. Yes.
Yeah, because I found, and then you've also got an online course. It's a pre-recorded online course. I found actually working with you one-on-one, then having the book for reference, and now having access to the online course. That whole package has been really helpful in just letting me go back to what you taught me, practicing it at home or live, and then watching the videos again, going through a lot of the worksheets and through the book. And I think that has been a great thing for learning, having that flexibility to go back and forth.
I think you're absolutely right, because there's, you can, I have a client that I meet once a month that I've had for years, but they're just good reminders.
Yeah.
All of them are really good reminders. Yeah. And then I do a workshop too. Some people take a workshop, then they coach with me, so it just depends, but it's nice to have those things to remind yourself, and those worksheets. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you tell us a little bit too, because you used to do all your workshops live in person, and having now been dealing with COVID for the last 16 months as a public speaking coach, like what have you kind of learned about people and the do's and don'ts around presenting online? Any observations?
Quite a lot, actually. And the first thing I learned via my husband was to speak in look into the light, which is the camera. So, what I would do is, because he walked by one day, he says, who are you looking at? I said, I'm looking at that fellow over there. But if I look down here, what does it look like? Does it look like I'm engaged? No,
not really.
But if I look into the camera as much as I can, then it really looks like I'm looking at you, just like when you're giving a presentation around a boardroom table or on a stage. You're going to look at parts of the audience. So that's one thing I learned. So actually what he did was he put a big sticky on top of my laptop that had an arrow and said, like, look. So
look up.
That's one thing I learned. Then a light. So when I started, I brought a light, like just a light from my bedroom behind my computer to shine the light on me. Now I have a ring light. So that's another thing.
That makes a big difference.
Another thing is background. And this is what I love about you, Brad. Yeah. And you're one of my best students, because
thank you.
You don't need anything behind you.
No.
Because if you do, a couple of things. If you've got like I thought, I could put all my Dummies books there. And okay, then people are reading. David Frum, love him on CBC. He's always got that background of all those books. And I'm always thinking, what is the book that he's reading? What's going on? Or if there's or even in Hockey Night in Canada, when it's not Kelly Rudy. Yeah, maybe.
No. Kelly Rudy's got a lot behind his.
And Craig Simpson, there's a picture, and it's just, and even when I've seen Jamie Saleh, who I just adore, but I see these things in the back, and I'm taken away from her moment of her speaking because I'm looking at the background. So you don't want to have that. And then a lot of people at the very beginning would use a Zoom background or something, and then there's that halo around your head.
Yeah.
So it's just those little things that are distracting, because you wouldn't have that if you were speaking in person.
It's funny. It's funny you bring up the Kelly Rudy thing, because I was doing exactly that. He's got some, I think, like educational certificates behind him or something. And I'm like holding my phone up, watching hockey one night, listening to him, trying to read what does he have his education in? So yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it does make it really distracting.
Yeah.
And now getting back to the light, some of my clients say, well, I have just natural light in my room. Well, it can change. Because, for example, so here's my light here.
Yeah.
And then if I turn off my light, like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
put it back on, Alyson.
I know.
Please put it back on. No.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and
it's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And another thing to think about too, if you're giving let's say it's a panel presentation virtually, or you're giving a bit of a presentation and then a colleague is, be active listening. There's nothing like, you're speaking and I'm just going to go scroll my phone.
Yeah, that's
Oh
horrible.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. Yeah.
Yeah.
It pulls you out of the moment and it gives you the focus.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks, Pauline. Yes. Sometimes the books are there to make people look smarter, but sounds like it might be counterproductive. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, it's true. Okay. So, all right, let's kind of what can somebody expect when they start working with you? I mean, I can give my my story of it, but like from someone contacts you, they reach out to you, where do you start with them?
So I talked to them. Back in the day, I would actually go for coffee, and that's kind of starting a bit more to talk, like because I get emails all the time, but so what I want to know is, I want to know, because people want to know, how much do you charge? And I
that's not
don't
good.
do that unless I have talked to them first. So either I'll meet for coffee or phone or something, or Zoom. So after that, if they've decided to sign up, then I ask them to present 2 minutes of something. And it could be written on a sheet of paper. It could be a cue card. It could be memorized. And it's just a thing, and not on their phone. And why not on their phone? Because the phone makes me nervous, because I could drop my phone and then the font is really small. So, and then what I do is it's all virtual now. So we come into the call and I get them to do it either standing or sitting.
Yeah.
And then I talk to them about, I give them feedback. And I also tell them that in the hour-long session, they never need to write notes, because I'll send them notes usually within the day or the next day. So they don't have to do that. So then that happens. We talk about that. And then I talk about the warm-up, and we start right in on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the big part, right? And this was the part that always made me nervous, but I really enjoy it now.
Yay.
Because I can see the benefits. So let's go with your top 3 warm-up tips for anyone who's about to get ready to go and present, whether it be like 3 people in the room or online or 100.
Okay, so I'm going to do it standing, but I know you're going to sit, and that's fine, because I do have, now that when we started becoming virtual, most of my clients will sit. However, some stand, some even move, but a lot of it. So you do it sitting, and I'll do it standing.
Yeah.
So, 3 things. So first of all, we're going to talk about. I would just ask people to do a little bit of a physical warm up, and it could be walking the stairs to your presentation if you're doing it live. It could be doing yoga pose, but we're going to just do a little bit right now, just to kind of show you. So we're going to roll our shoulders.
See, and if you're listening, you got to get in on this, because if you're at home and there's nobody around,
and roll the other way.
Yeah.
Good. And now pretend that this is your pelvic bowl, and you're sloshing, let's say, pink liquid side to side.
I'm doing it in my seat.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. And then front back, and one-way, and the other way.
And this really helps to get your blood pumping.
Yeah.
Bring the anxiety down a little bit. Get you breathing. Absolutely.
Get the dopamine going, right?
Yeah.
The last thing we're going to do is we're going to, I don't know if you've ever watched Seinfeld, but we're going to be Elaine and do that crazy Seinfeld thing.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. Yeah. I do my stairs.
Yep.
I'm doing my stairs before I go on. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, because we know how we feel when we do something physical. The dopamine starts coursing through our body. The blood starts flowing. So that's what we need. Now what we're going to do too is talk a little bit about I talk about an up and out pose, as opposed to a down and in. So down and in is like this. And even so you can sit down and in there, Brad. And how does that feel?
Like this? Oh, way better.
When you're just shoulders.
Oh,
Or
like this. Yeah. No, I go into it automatically, but when I catch myself,
yeah, because what you want to
yeah,
have is you want to have your chest open, your arms back, your feet flat on the floor, even if you're sitting down. That's really so just to visualize that you've got on the soles of your feet, you've got roots growing down to the earth, attached to your feet. They're 3 meters and like 9 meters, so you feel rooted. Then everything
yeah,
is growing up. So the tops of your feet are growing up to your shins, growing up to your thighs. Your pelvis is just there. Your arms are down by your side. Your chest is open. Your neck is released, and your head. The energy is going all the way up to your head to the sky. So you have space in your body because that's what you
yeah,
want. Because if you're like this, it's kind of like you want to be again, with being fearful, you want to be as small as you can. And I feel like that, that pterodactyl is going to, if they can do this, can come and just grab you and take you away
yes,
like this. So we want to
absolutely.
pose. That's what I would call. So now let's just do a little bit of articulation work. So you could be passionate about your presentation, but if you don't open your mouth, no one's going to understand you. Also, it
Absolutely.
happens sometimes when you're fearful, you clam up
Yeah.
and your words can't get out. And if I clam up and if I am like this, you, the audience, will mimic me. So let's
Yes.
tap our face.
Yeah. This one is good.
Yeah.
I'm doing this one a lot.
Do a little massage.
I'm now okay that I can do it in front of people.
Good for you.
I don't hide out in the green room or the bathroom anymore.
Now, and chew. So just little things like that.
So if you're watching, make sure you're doing this. This is
Yeah.
Alyson Connolly. She's a public speaking coach, author for Public Speaking with Dummies. If you're just tuning in, we're going through some warm up exercises, and I want to make sure, like, if you're listening in because you're an emergency manager and you want to get pumped and ready to give a briefing or do a media interview, this is all very relevant. You can go for a walk outside and do some of this. You can hide out into the bathroom and do this. So please give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're stretching the mouth.
Yeah. So tongue twisters are great. Another thing to do is to pretend that you've got peanut butter in your mouth and you're getting it out of your mouth through the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I find this one makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like I can tell the difference.
Because it helps with your tongue root. Like your tongue root is, really, it goes a long way, and it sometimes can be really tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this one is a big help.
There's a ton of tongue twisters online that you can use.
Yeah.
Now, what did someone contact?
Oh, no, I just threw that on there in case people are looking for it.
Now, breathing. Breathing is really important because and I'm just reading the book, his name is James Nestor, and he was on Sunday morning on CBC on Sunday, and he's written a book called The Science of Breathing or something like that.
Okay.
I got it, and he talks about how important it is to breathe, and he even says breathing in and out through your nose. Now, we can't do that when we're speaking. That just takes much time, but when I'm driving the car now, I'll breathe in and out through my nose because that actually helps. First of all, it calms your it activates your rest and digest nervous system. So it calms down and it filters out all the pollutants in the air. So a really good thing to do to breathe deeply is a Tai Chi move. And I'm going to move this way.
Okay.
Just so you see. So pretend that you've got a beach ball here.
Yeah.
And you're going to breathe in, and let's try breathing in through your nose and out through your nose and see what happens. So you're going to breathe in and out and in. And I have a client that texted me and said, I can do this in the bathroom at the Edmonton Convention Center. Like,
totally.
Okay, good to know. And a couple more times. And while you're doing this, if you feel any part of your body that is tense, just allow it to release. And let's do it one more time. Now, one more exercise to help with breath is called the breath of joy. And it helps drop your breath low. It also gets you into the mindset of feeling really good, because another part of alleviating the fear is to get it out of your head and not worry about it.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in a third of your breath, 2/3 all the way, and then release. And the yoga book says if you do this 6 times, you will feel joyful. So you can even do this sitting. So let's try it. Breathe in. And one more time.
It's like the Wim Hof method, kind of, if you know who that is. Box breathing. I hope you're doing this if you're listening.
Yeah. Don't be eating lunch.
No. Whoops. And Pauline was saying, yes, absolutely. If you've got a standing desk, totally, absolutely. Take advantage of that while you're getting ready for your warm-ups.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Another thing you can do is just burr your lips. Go up and down the range. So that helps with our resonance. So our whole body resonates. So that means it bounces sound off. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open up our chest and pretend we're Tarzan and just do this. And now open up our arms and try to speak from here and say, I'm fabulous. Go.
I'm fabulous.
I'm fabulous.
I'm fabulous.
I'm fabulous.
I'm fabulous.
Okay, so that is that's just a quick little warm up that you can do, and that will really help get you going.
Yeah, like I do that, basically that exact same routine every time I do a live stream or anything else, plus kind of go up and down the stairs for a couple minutes. But it also, I'm finding now, when I do that, it signals to my brain that this is what I need to be like. I need to have that breathing, pause and breathe in between my sentences. Mm-hmm. People are not going to turn off the presentation because Brad's taking a breath. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have to say a lot. And that's taken me a long time. Like I remember in one session with you, I was kind of moving around too much. So you like grabbed my ankles and said, now talk, don't move. And it was hard. It was really hard to not move my feet and talk. But it's made a huge difference in my presence.
Well, because also you can move, but you need to move with purpose.
Yeah.
So this, the swaying.
That's right. To stop the swaying.
And people, but we have to remember that we are good enough, and we're not striving for perfection. We're striving to be the best we can.
Yes.
And yes, feel free to move if you want to, but do it with purpose. Because what does this look like if I'm standing?
Oh yeah. Like if I was sitting here talking like this.
Yeah. So I'm moving, and I'm going to tell you.
We're going to put people to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed too, like, when I first started, I kind of thought, oh my gosh, like I can't, like, how am I ever going to do all of this? But it's not about doing it all at once at the same time after your first few coaching sessions. Like I don't know, I started working with you. It'll be, I think, 2 years in December.
Yeah.
And I think only over the last 4 months, I've gotten through the warm-ups and some of the other things to get to the point where now I'm breathing, pausing, taking that breath before I talk. Mm-hmm. And it's starting to incorporate kind of that more sophisticated aspects to the presentation.
Well, I think too, I want you to get value for your money. You're
Yeah.
paying me. So I try to give as many things as possible to work
Yeah.
on. That's exactly right. So you don't need to, yeah, you'll learn these things eventually, but it's like, I always use the analogy of someone who's learning to play piano. I doubt I know for me, that first lesson, I was not playing a
Yeah.
concerto in, the wind spear. So that's the thing. And to go back to it, because we always, even, anybody that's been to school, you go back to your books and you just go, oh yeah, that's what that means.
Yes.
That's what, it hit me even in my master's. So I do my master's, and then all of a sudden I look through a book. Oh, that's what they meant about the voice. Oh, I get it. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really, that's why I want to give you a lot. And I do have some clients that'll say, after I, give them their first notes, oh, I thought I was pretty good. Yes, you were pretty good. But do you want to be better? Then that's what I'll do. I'll help you be better. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and I look at this too, because a lot of, my audience, they are disaster and emergency managers. They have to go up in front of the media. That in itself is nerve-wracking when you've got 6 cameras pointed at you. You're on live TV. Maybe you've got some politicians standing behind you.
Yeah.
The world is watching, and you're expected to have all of the answers and information at the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself is difficult. But I know for me, just going through the warm-up piece, like 25-30% of that fear goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And after a year of that, after a year of doing all of this, like I think I'm at 60% of the fear is gone.
Yeah, that's great. And another thing to think of is, so the fight, flight, or freeze response is a physiological response we have in our bodies. And along with that is this negativity thing that we've got. We actually process negative thoughts faster and hold on to them longer than positive ones. So how do you switch? Through neuroplasticity, we can actually change the way we think. One of those ways is, yes, body language, because that makes you look and feel more confident if you have this up and out pose. But another way is to think that, when you are presenting, when you're presenting to the media, you're the expert. They aren't.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't. You know what's just gone on. And then to think also that it's an opportunity to psych yourself up. I get to tell these people that what has happened. Another thing to think about is, I know there'll be maybe, 720 people in the scrum, but really think of talking to one person. Personally, I think for me that works wonders. If I have to do a radio thing or a TV thing, I'm talking to one person. So I don't feel like I'm talking to the world, because that is just kind of, that's
too much. Yeah.
That's too much, and also an affirmation, like we did that I'm fabulous. So Stuart Smalley back in the days, many years ago in Saturday Night Live, would have an affirmation, I'm good, I'm smart enough, gall darn it, people like me.
Yeah.
We can say that to ourselves. We can think that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh crap, I don't know. What am I doing here? Oh my God, I don't know. Because as I mentioned, the audience will pick up on that. They'll pick up on your fear and the fact, but just stand upright, breathe, take time to breathe deeply. Like Brad said, people will wait. They'll wait for you. And another thing I have, this is the hill I'm dying on, is when people say, when an interviewer asks an interviewer a question and the interviewee says, that was a good question. You've just lost 3 seconds of that clip, because they only have a few seconds. So, and I get that people are thinking about what to say next, but just breathe, just take a breath and assimilate your thoughts.
Yeah. Kind of what you said there, it kind of made me think about that neuroplasticity. Like you're actually helping people's mindset change
Mm-hmm.
around a very common fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for a lot, again, for a lot of emergency managers, they spend a lot of time, having to sell their budget requests or proposals or programs or whatever resources they need to a town council or a deputy minister or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Even doing, having some of this practice and warm-up activity before you go into that meeting room to sell your ideas. Maybe you've only got 3 or 4 minutes to pitch to an executive. Like that's a huge advantage going into that room when you have almost reduced your anxiety by half. Like that's going to make your sales pitch way more stronger.
And also prepared, obviously.
Yeah.
So because 90% of the clients that I first meet, when I ask them, how many times did you say this out loud? 90% say they never did. They just write it and they print it out and they're going to read it to me. And we write in essay because we, again, like Pauline was saying, we want to show we're smart, but we don't speak in essay. So
Right.
That's the thing to practice. Yeah, it is really interesting. Maya Angelou is a poet, and she wrote a quote saying, "I've come to believe that they won't remember what I did, they won't remember what I said, but they'll always remember how I made them feel." So when you go into that room, when you're pitching, they want to see you, the person, the human being, not just all these words on a slide. They want to know how they can trust you and how do you feel about this information? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's why I wanted to bring this to this audience. And if you're just tuning in, we're speaking with Alyson Connolly. She's a public speaking coach, AlysonConnolly.com. She's also an actor. I'm going to call you an actor. You've done your master's thesis in reducing public and fear in presenting. And so we just gone through some warm-ups. We're talking about standing in front of an audience and just reducing that fear a little bit. I mean, I don't know, where else is like, are you working? Like, I know you work with all sorts of people, but in what other kind of contexts are you supporting people?
Government,
yeah, okay.
And
politicians,
yeah, politicians,
yeah. Communications people, yeah, okay.
And then I had a client the other day that I've just got, and she has her master's in education, and English is not her first language, so she's afraid. Okay. And she's a teacher. She wants to be a teacher. So I work with people like that too, so I work with people who are good but want to be better, those who would rather die than speak in public, and those whose accent impedes their clarity.
So this would be applicable. So this would be applicable to instructors, trainers, people that have they can step up their game as an instructor or trainer. And I know you too will also help with PowerPoint presentations.
Yes, that's chapter 7 of my book.
Good plug there. Yeah. Yeah, you will also help, that was another reason I sought your coaching, because I knew that, my PowerPoints were okay. And I was really scared to get honest feedback on them, because like a lot of people, I think that everything I do is just perfect. And so having you as that sort of, well, actually, I'll say what helped me get that feedback from you is it was really easy to learn from you, because it was comfortable. You weren't judgmental.
Yeah.
You're not judging me, because for you, it's kind of like, why judge? There's no point to it. It's not going to serve your clients. So that judgment wasn't there, and you were able to help me step up, not only my speaking, but the presentation. Like,
and
slides.
Even because I do these workshops and people will say, wow, this is really fun. That's my whole, it's not like it's, fun and games, but I just like to have it so that it is fun. People enjoy it. And then they can buy into what I say, and then they feel relaxed around me so that I can say certain things,
Yeah.
and with the PowerPoint, it's the drug dealers are the worst. Those are the pharmaceutical reps. They have so much. Any client that I have that's actually someone else has built their slide deck from
Oh yeah.
Toronto or from the US, it's problematic.
It's all words.
It's all words.
text.
It's all
Yeah.
words. And now this is another thing about virtual, because some people will just put that slide deck on and they'll be in the center, in the middle there, and they're just reading the deck. We can read faster, and then I'm not getting any kind of I don't know who that person is other than they're just reading their
information. You can read, someone can read faster than they can hear. Is that it? They can read faster.
Faster. So often, I haven't really been on a lot of those calls, but I tell people I could just turn off my video, go pet my dog, go get a cup of coffee. Oh, I'll come back or I get the slide deck. That's another thing too. Some of my clients build a slide deck with far more pictures and a few words, and then they'll send the other slide deck to the client as well. So they've got
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Or I think even if I've, in some cases, they've had the pictures on the slide deck, and then they just simply sent a supporting document with a summarization of it. And that's a great tip. So if you've got questions for Alyson, please throw them in the comments. If you've got thoughts or a question, please feel free. Now I know I've got I'll bring it up. Let me see if I can bring it up. I've got I did bring up one of your videos. I don't know where if it's
that's one thing I changed with COVID is the hair.
Oh yeah, you did. I don't have it up. I'm not gonna have it up because it's not open. But you've got a online video course.
Yep.
That's accessible through Teachable. And I think they can sign up for it off your website.
Yes, and it goes through. So on my website you'll see the introduction and what it contains, and then it just goes through 14, I do believe it's 14 lessons with accompanying workshops. And then with that I have certain, like I'll do a webinar and things like that, and then I'll contact you.
Okay. So where do they go? Like let me see. Here's what we're gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring up your website.
Okay.
Because I think it'll just help people with some of the understanding here, and I want to make sure they know where to contact you. Let's go to this one. This is the problem with me having to do everything on my own. Okay, so you can go into the services part of your website at AlysonConnolly.com, and you can go down to the Finding Your Voice. It's in here. There it is.
Yep.
And so that's where they can register. I would personally highly recommend this because I think once you have access to it, you always have access to it. And they can go back and rewatch it.
Exactly. So, it's theirs. It's yours forever. And I like the fact that there's worksheets because, you can attest to this, Brad, that you've done it later. So you get all this stuff. And it's daunting, but you can take one lesson at a time. It's just like the Dummies book, really. You can read it at different chapters, whatever pertains to you. So it's the same thing with that.
Yeah. And then from there, they can check out your workshops and all of that. And I would highly recommend, now that you can do it virtually, the live coaching online is awesome.
It is.
Because you're kind of getting a 2-for-1. I think because you're not only getting coaching for the physical in room, but you're also going to get coaching for doing online presentations just by doing it with you on Zoom or whatever you use. I think before people never had that opportunity to get the online, even though it was needed. Right.
Yeah, so really interesting.
I think that's cool.
For your group, and also obviously you're presenting to people that aren't even in Alberta. We get this, it's just a wider scope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, because now you're not only presenting, you're presenting to people way far out from where they might have come to see you speak in the
Yeah.
past.
Like I was supposed to do a keynote last October for ESSO in Calgary for about
Yeah.
70 people. That was going to be in person, and then COVID happened. And so I did it virtually, 392 people, because they could all come, they could all attend. It just makes it it's a nicer way to it's another way to work.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, that's awesome. So they can find you at AlysonConnolly.com. You're on Twitter.
I am.
You're putting lots of Arnie, your dog is on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dog,
the dog.
Son got married.
Yeah, your son's wedding photos.
I'm actually going to do a YouTube. It was you that said, because I was talking to Brad, and I usually write a blog every month, and sometimes the blog is a slog because I'm like,
yeah, it's painful.
And I said to Brad, what would you like to read about? And he said, I'd like to see you, because he said, because you said that when you were looking for coaches, you didn't see anyone like that actually did any kind of work. Like,
they all have blogs. They all wrote about what they do.
So my whole thing is, hopefully, by September, I've got my channel, but I will start.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That. I'll look forward to that, because I think you've got so much to put out there. Like, it's just going to be an awesome resource. So I would highly recommend working with Alyson, regardless of what kind of speaking you do, whether it's to your team as a manager, whether it's to you're pitching a startup, you're trying to sell for a budget, or you're just up in front of an emergency operations center and a group having to give a briefing. Whatever it is, definitely give Alyson a call. She's based out of Edmonton, very accessible. Where else? Like, you're on Twitter, mostly on Twitter, LinkedIn.
Instagram, LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
I've got a Facebook, Alyson Connolly voice and public speaking coach. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. Was that anything else you wanted to share in terms of tips and tricks to get ready?
Well, I think, you're just talking about startups, and I work a lot with Startup Edmonton, actually.
Yes, that's right.
Propel people. And the big thing there, and it's interesting, because when I got out of university, my husband said, go to startup and just rent a chair once a week and just sit there, like just be there, kind of schmoozing.
Oh, okay.
So I did that, and I didn't get any work because they were all so worried about their content, not about their presentation. But then I started working, then Startup Edmonton, the team hired me, and now they hire me a lot for Propel is one of the things. And what I work with those businesses is that they're so worried about their content that they forget about their presentation.
Yes.
Style and how they should present. So that's something to really remember is, that we will always remember how you made them feel. And if you're pitching something, I think for most people, it's being trustworthy, genuine, human being. And if the slides don't come up, oh, well, this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, because I think, like, I see so much commonality between, these new types of startups and tech companies and the emergency management and disaster management world. Mm-hmm. Because disaster managers are always trying to innovate, and they're always introducing new best practices and new ideas, and having to pitch evidence-based, evidence, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Data. They're trying to sell data. They're trying to make these big pitches for big mitigation projects. Like, there's so much there that's relevant. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Going and working with someone who works with a tech startup that is pitching to, like, people that are going to, eventually give them millions of dollars, right? You're working with firms that are pitching to, like, NASA, to these big investors. You being able to pass that experience and those skills to a disaster and emergency manager who's trying to get another 10 grand from the council to start a program would be a huge benefit. Mm-hmm. So that's the main reason I had you on, other than, not only are you a great person, but I didn't want just a regular, typical crisis communicator emergency manager to come on because they would just talk about the right message, and that's important. But like you said, it's how you come across and how you make people feel.
Mhm.
So that's I think there's tons of room for you in this sector.
Yeah. And to remember that it's not about you when you're presenting, it's about your message.
It's about your message, yeah,
It's not
and your
about
audience.
you and what you're, who you are. It's your message that's really important.
So I could go on all day, but
yeah, me too.
I think that's good. Okay, so Alyson, I really want to thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. AlysonConnolly.com. Reach out to her anytime. Get on her teachable videos. They're awesome reference tool, and we'll have you on here again for sure.
Thank you so much, Brad.
You're welcome. Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us, and make sure you stay connected.